syllabus. So we stopped at, I heard somebody said H. I thought we did X. We did X lookup now before we went on break. Hello?
Yes, but if there can be recap, sir.
Okay. We will need recap for the X lookup. But I think we doing a recap now would almost be like drawing us backward. This class has been moving too slowly for my liking. So this year, this is 2024. I want this class to take a different speed so that we can finish up what we ought to do and move to other things. So this is what I'll do. The class on XLOOKUP, I think some of us, I would suggest you go back to the video of that class. If you don't have access to that video, you can reach out to me. I'll make sure you get that video. So just go over the video again. Then if you now come up with any issue, I think at that point now you can reach out to me and we'll sort that out so that we move forward to what we are supposed to do. So we finished HLOOKUP, we finished XLOOKUP, we did VLOOKUP and all the lookup. So I think the next topic we're about to move to was a match and index, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I beg we should just move straight to match and index. Okay. So index and match. You can say I had to rearrange the naming because most times you always use index, especially when you're using these two functions or formula together. You always make use of index first before using match. So that's why I had to put it this way, index and match. So what exactly, let's pick them one after the other. What exactly is index and what exactly is match? So let's do theoretical first. So we say the index function is used to return the value of itself in a specific row and column of a range. So it is used to return the value of itself. That means the index, what it returns to you is the content of a cell. So please, let's get this, it's very important. Index returns the content, that's the value of a cell. Whereas match would return the position of what you're looking for. So index returns the value of a cell, you could say the value or you could say the content of a cell in a specific row and column within a range. So if you're working with index, there's the basic syntax for index is what you can see on my screen. So the syntax comes this way. You have index, then open bracket, you have array, you have row number, and then you have your comma, and then you have column number. Column number, as you can see here, is optional. So what is the array? We say the array here, this is the range of cells from which we want to retrieve the data. So right from when we've been doing VLOOKUP and so many other things, we've always been talking about array. So at this point, I don't think array should be something that will still be confusing anyone. We all know what an array is. So this is just the range of cells where you're actually trying to retrieve whatever data you're trying to retrieve or whatever lookup value you're trying to look up. So where is the range within where you're looking for that thing? That becomes our array. So that's what array means in this context. Then the next thing we have there is the row number. So this is the row number within the array from which to retrieve the data. So now you have your array. The next thing is it will ask for the row number. So which row within this array are you trying to retrieve this data from? So that will be the next question Excel will ask you. And then the last one we say is the column number. So please, can we all mute ourselves so that we don't get this whole back? So when I need you to talk, I would ask for you to unmute so that we can hear you. But for now, please, let's just keep this thing on mute. Okay. So we say the column number is optional, unlike the row number where you have to give it a row number. Column number is optional. So in our practical or the example we'll be doing, we'll see why column number is optional. So we'll see there. Okay, that being said, we say the index function is versatile and can be used in various ways, such as in combination with other functions and as a part of more complex formulas. So just like I said, most times people don't just use index alone. People like using index along with match or index along with other functions or formulas. So that is when you can really see what this can do. But even on its own, you can also use it. So that being said, let's go back to our this Excel and try to do something with index. Okay, so right here I want to bring up, so we'll be doing different examples so that we can all get it clearly. So the first one I will be doing is okay. I want to fill all of this space with numbers. Okay, I want you to fill this space with random numbers beginning from 10,000 to 100,000. So I've done that. You can see I have all of these numbers here. Then all of these numbers, I want them to just give me the main figures. So I want to take away the 2 decimal after it. So I'll do that. Coming here. Okay, so now we have this here. So in using index now, let me give this.
Sorry to interrupt. Could you just take that again? How you feel that random?
Okay, you may not be able to do this except you have the Kutus this thing on your Kutus setup, except you've downloaded it. And so this Kutus does not come with Excel. So this is what I was able to use, the Kutus. So I have it installed into my Excel, so that was why I could use it. So I just used it to impute this random listing. So for you who do not have it, you may not be able to. So let me just call this A. Let's call this B. Let's call this C. Let's call this D. And let's call this E. Okay, so we have all of these columns here. Now in using index, we want to look for, let's say we want to look for 84,042. 84,042. We want to find out where that is. So we say equals to, we have index brought up. So the first thing is asking is the array, just like we explained. So now let's do this. Let's use the whole of this as our array. So we have our comma here. So the next thing is asking for is the row number. Remember we said you must always give it a row number for it to return a value for you. So what are we looking for now? We are looking for 84,042, which is here. So which row is this? This is row. Let's count.
14.
1, 2,
14.
Okay, 14, right? So
Yes.
keep 14 there. So you can see we have next as the column number. So we said column number is optional. in this case, let's use the column number. So which column is this? Which column are
Column 1.
Okay, so we have 1 there, and then we close, we press enter. Did we get what we are looking for?
Exactly.
Okay, but you see here, you remember we had 2 decimal that we took away.
Approximation.
Yes, so immediately we took it away. It approximated this 41 to 42 for us. So that's why we are having it this way here. Now, here it's coming in the original form. So if I still want to adjust this, I'll still have to go back here and do the same thing I did there. So you see, the moment I adjust this, it will give me the value I had here. So it has been able to, if we look at the formula now, using index, I was able to give it a range, and after giving it the range, the next thing is I gave it a row number. Which row am I looking for? What exactly is it I'm looking for? Which row is that within that range that I selected? And we said where I had what I was looking for was in row 14. So I gave it a row number 14. And then the next thing was the column number. Remember I said it's possible you could do this without having to impute a column number. But in this case, I had to put the column number because I have more than 1 column selected. Had it been I was working with just 1 column, perhaps I would not have had any need for the column number because it's just 1 column that I have. But in this case, I had different columns. So I had to give it a column number. Now let's change this column number. Let's say now we want to put the column number as 4. Let's say we change the column number to 4 and we press enter. You can see that just by changing the column number, it will still pick from that row 14, but in this case now, it will be giving us the result from column 4, and which column 4 is where we have D. So that is why it is returning the content of what we have in row 14, column 4. Please, are we following to this point?
Yes.
So I think that is not complex in any way.
Yes, sir.
It is quite straightforward. So you just use index to get the content of a cell. The content of a cell. Now this content, according to the argument you have to first of all give it an array, then give it a row number. So you give it an array and then you give it a row number. So in giving it a row number, that row number would now determine what index would return for you. So if we go back to this formula and perhaps I change my row number to, let me change the row number to, let's say 7. If I change this row number to 7 and hit enter, you can see that it will take me to row 7. Now where is row 7? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Row 7 is where we have 15,506 on the A column. So now if we are, remember the 4th column we are looking for. So going to the 4th column, you can see that this is where we have 33,903. So that is exactly what it's returning for us. So this is quite straightforward, I hope. So can we move over to merge, or is anybody still confused at this stage? So before we move forward, anybody has any concerns? Or
sorry, I think I have a question, please.
Okay, please ask.
Can I go on?
Yeah, I'm listening. Please ask your question.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. I think maybe your network is bad.
Hello?
I can hear you. Hello?
Oh, great, thank you. Mr. Kam, I'm just trying to figure out the practical application of this index.
Okay.
That we just bit now. Since I know the row number, and of course the content of the cell, because I'm still trying to place how this is
Practical.
will be applied
Okay.
in the real world. So,
This
and
is
it's random. I was expecting that since it's a random, uh, like we just picked, is there any other way of fine tuning or twisting it so that it will give me what I am looking for that I don't really know where to find it?
okay.
I don't know if you get what I'm trying
Yes,
to
I
say.
understand. So this is what I'm going to do. I'll open a different worksheet now, where we'll be using an examination record to do it. So I think that will be more, according to you, that will be more visible or more relatable, because I think that's where your issue is. Okay, so look at this worksheet I have here. So this is an examination record. We have 20 students that sat for these exams, and each of them, as you can see, we have their first name here, we have their second name, we have their third name, we have their first test, second test. So now, using index, I'm looking for a particular student by the name King. That's the name of the student, and I want to get his exam score. His exam score is what I'm interested in. I want to get his exam score, and perhaps maybe I had this list much longer than this. Maybe let's say I have maybe 200 and something students on this list, and I just want to know what King scored. I know King very well, and I just want to get his exam score. So how do I do that using index? You come here, I say equals to index. So I bring up index. Now it's asking for an array, just like what we did the other time. So I could choose to select this as my array, the whole of this. So let me use the whole of this as my array. So the next thing now is asking me for a row number. Now, remember it's King I'm looking for. So where is King on this this thing? I have King here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I have King on row 16. So I have 16 in there. So the next thing is the column number. Now, the reason I'm using column number here is because I want to look for his exam score. And I have more than one column selected here. Had it been I had just one column selected, I wouldn't be needing the column number. So now, what I'm looking for is his exam score, and that is in column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's in column 6. So I have 6, close my bracket, and press enter. So King scored 55 in his exams. You can see, if you trace it here, this is King. If you trace it down, you can see that his exam score is 55. That was because we had asked index to go to row, that was row 16, where we had King. You can see it here. We asked King index to go to row 16 and return whatever is the content of column 5 for us. So row 16, then what it is returning to us is the content of column 5. So now let's go back to this formula. Let's assume this wasn't the case.
So is it column 5 or column 6?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah, 6. Sorry, that was column 6. Okay, so now let's assume what I was actually looking for is, I want to find out the array is this. The array is this. This is my array, and I just want to find out who is in column 18, row 18. So I say row. So I want to pick row 18 as my row number. So in this case, I don't need the column number, because I just wanted to return the name of the person in row 18. So I'll just close and I'll press enter. So you can see here, index returned Felix for me. That means Felix is the name on row 18 of this array that I selected. So in this case, I had to do this without even having to put a column number. All it just did was return, because I was just working with one column. So it just returned the content of that row number that I had inserted, which was row 18. So row 18, we have Felix in there. So it just returned the name Felix for me. So for the person that asked the question, is this practical enough? Or is it clear now?
Fair enough, Mr. Eke, fair enough.
Okay, thank
Fair
you very
enough.
much. So I guess we can move forward. Or do we still have any other person that perhaps maybe still has an issue with index before we move over to March?
Hello, Mr. Ike.
Okay,
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Yeah. Please, I just wanted to know, because the index seems to be doing the same thing like the VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP, and the likes. So, but, from what I'm seeing now, it seems as though the index, you need to do more of manual work than the XLOOKUP and then VLOOKUP.
Yeah,
So just like
in a way that's true, because you have to know the row you're looking for.
okay.
So in a way,
So
yeah, that's true.
And so my question now is that, when do we consider using this in place of the XLOOKUP or the VLOOKUP, since they are all returning the content of itself? Yes.
Okay. So all of these are all lookup functions or lookup formulas. So it now depends on what exactly you're working on. So that will determine which function or formula that you feel is best suited for what you're doing. So none will be maybe more, it depends, because not as if maybe one is so important than the other, although in some cases one could do much more than maybe what the other can do. Like for example, when we got to XLOOKUP, when we were saying in XLOOKUP you don't need to be looking from left to right like in VLOOKUP, and so all depends on the peculiarity of what you're working with. That would now, the most important thing is that you know what each of them does, and at a time when you need it, you know which would give you the best result for what you're trying to accomplish. So they all do lookup functions. It just depends on the peculiarity of what you're working on. That will now depend on which one you feel would give you the best result for what you're doing. Okay, so going back to our slide. So now we'll be moving to the next one, which is March. So the next one we have here is March. So we said the March function in Excel is used to search for specific value in a range. So specific value in a range, and it returns its relative position. So it is often used in conjunction with other functions like index to perform lookup. So just like I tried to chip in when we're doing index, I say most times you appreciate these functions better when you use them with other functions. So like now this is match. So we say match would return the relative position. So now index was returning the content, the value of that position. Now match would not return content, rather match would return the position for you. So we say match has a basic syntax which goes this way. So we have the lookup value, then we have the lookup array, and then we have the match type. So now the lookup value we say is the value you want to search for in the lookup array. So that will give you the lookup value. Then the lookup array is the range of cells containing possible matches. Then the match type, we say that one is also optional. So now this argument specifies the type of match that you want to use. So it can be one of the following. So we have 3 different match types. We have the 1. So 1, this one finds the largest value that is less than or equals to the lookup value. So basically 1 will give you the value less than maybe what you're looking for or what you picked. Then 0 will give you an exact match, while -1 will give you the value greater than. So we say the match function is commonly used in combination with index to create powerful lookup formulas. So for instance, you might use it to find the position of a value, and then you can use index to retrieve the corresponding value. That was just what I was trying to explain. So this one would only give you the position, while index will give you the corresponding value. So that being said, let's go back to what we were doing here. Let's try to use this to understand what match does. So equals to, so we have match. So bringing up match here. Now still working with this 84,042. So now what is our lookup value? Our lookup value would be this. So let's pick it from here. Or we could type it in. So if we are typing it in, say 84,042 is what we are looking for. So what is the lookup array? Our lookup array now. In this one, okay, let's even do this so that we use it and see. So if I say an exact match, and I close and press enter, let's see, will it work? No, it will give us an error. It wouldn't work because I selected my array was too much. This one does not work with such a large array because there is nothing to tell it where to go and look for. So in this case, you can only work with one array. So it can either be a vertical or an horizontal array. So now let's come back here and change this to A18. So now you can see this is our array and we are still using an exact match. So you will press enter now. It's still giving us error. Who knows why it's giving us error? Okay. So I don't want us to waste too much time here. So the reason we are still having error is because, just like I said, okay, let's even select this from inside of here. So let's pick it from here. And then let's press enter. Did it work? Please, someone should unmute and talk to me.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So now, the reason why it worked now and did not work the other time was because, remember here, we have decimal that we're working with. So because I selected it here, of course it will recognize whatever was adjusted here. But if I have to type it in, I would have to type it in the original format that this was. Remember, let's go back there and see. So if let me remove this. Now if we are to come back here, so let's go back. So remember, this was the original listing. It was 84041.91. So now, if I'm to use this, I'll set match. So let me put it in 84041.91. That's the original listing. Then my array now, I can now choose to select my array from here to here, comma, and I'll use an exact match. Then I'll close, and and I press enter. So now you can see it worked perfectly well. It returned back 14. That was because I now had to impute this figure in its original. So when I was using that approximation, Excel could not find it because I had approximated it to just this, and it had to approximate to give me 42 But now when I had to type it in its original format, you see Excel could now recognize it. So this was what I was trying to show to us. So, but when I had to select the content of that cell, Excel knew that whatever was here had been approximated. So it still gave me that content in its original form. So that is that for March. So going back to the other Excel file we're working on.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, someone has a question.
Yeah, please, could you go back to that other sheet?
Okay, we are back here.
Yeah, thank you. If I understood this correctly, while index give us the value, the content of the cell,
Yes,
match gives us
the position
the position
of that cell.
of the cell.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Could you run this match on column E? Maybe pick a cell there and run it on column E.
Okay.
So that if I'm trying to understand how this thing works precisely.
No problem. So let's pick.
Thank you.
Okay. So now our lookup value, let's pick 41,700. So let's pick 41,700 as our lookup value. Then the lookup array. Remember I said you can only pick one array because here we are not giving it a column number or row number. So that's our
Sorry, you didn't put the decimal.
I'm trying for us to observe something.
Okay,
So
fine.
if I press enter, so you can see it's still giving us that NA, right? So I just wanted us to see. So now what is happening here is it cannot find that number because remember we said it should give us an exact match, and now it has gone there and it cannot see that exact match of what we just typed in. But now let's try something else. So let's do this. So let's try this. Let's go back and take it back. Okay. So now we say equals to, we have match. Our lookup value we said is 41. Let's still try that 41,700, and then lookup array.
It's 822, 18.
Exact match. So you see, it's still not working because it's not seeing this as this. It's seeing this in its original format. So that means we still need to add that point. It was point what? Can somebody remember?
Point 91.
Is it 91 or 28?
Okay, it's 28. It's 41. That is
Was it 91 or 28? It's 28. So now you see immediately I had 0.28 inserted. I now have it returning the position for me correctly. And the position is 10. Let's see if that's true. So we have this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So it's correct. Now it has returned the position for us as 10. So this is quite straightforward, I guess. So now let's go and try it. Yeah.
Hello, sorry, Mr. Hike. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Please, I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question. Does that mean math does not work for approximated values?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
That means if the values are does that mean that match does not work for approximated values? That means if the values are approximated in its original form and changed, match will not give us the exact value.
That's if I did not pick it from where I'm selecting it from my array. Remember, I'm not picking it from there. I'm typing it in. Do you get me?
Okay, but if you pick it from the array,
if I pick it there, it will take the original this thing, so it will not give me that error.
Hello.
Hello, can you get me? Hello?
Okay, no problem. I get now. Thank you.
Okay, so let's try this. Let's see. So now if I pick this here, and press enter, you can see it's still giving me the answer is correct, irrespective of the fact that this is approximated, because now I don't have the 2 decimal here, but because I selected it from this range, it will give me the correct answer. But if I were to type it in and went and typed what I have here when I had done an approximation, it would not work. So you see here it will not work because I typed it in. But if I were to select it, it will work because it will pick the exact thing that was there. So I guess I've answered your question, right?
Yes.
Okay. So moving forward, I said we should see how we can mismatch here. So now we want to return maybe the position for the name London. So we have a name there called London. So we say equals to match. So before that, let me even type in London here. So I have London here. So London. Okay. So now using match, I want to return this name. I want to find the position of this name. So I'll say match. What's my lookup value now? Is this, comma. What's the next thing is asking? Asking me where am I looking for London from? And I'm looking for London from
B3.
From here. From this range. So from B3 down to B22. So I need an exact match. So I'll close and press enter. So you can see that it's telling me here that London is in row 17. And you can see it's very correct. So London is in row 17. So for the person that was saying index was a big distance, so you can see I can also use match to look for the position for what I'm looking for. Then now use that position to now get the value of what I'm looking for. So you can see, you can use this interchangeably. The person that asked the question when we were doing index, that means it's manual. So if I know what exactly I'm looking for, I could just type the name somewhere and then use it to look for the position, then use that position back to look for whatever it is I'm looking for. now searching at a different column within that same this thing. So that will make it a bit easier for me. Okay, so that being said, now we want to look at how we can use these two formulas together and do much more. So now, using the two formulas together, I want to be able to get maybe the first test result for anybody on this list, or I want to be able to get the third test. I want to get a whole lot of things. Now, how do I do that? Let's say here, I want to bring up data validation. So at this point, all of us, we know how to create a list using data validation. So I want to create a list here. And what's in this list? I want to put all of this rec number. Sorry, source. I want to use everything from here to here for this list. So I have everything here. Now, I've gotten the list for this. Now here I want to get the first test to the third test. So I'll create another list. First test to exam rather. I'll create another list here. Now what's the source of my list? I want to get everything from here down to here. Everything here. And I'll press sorry, the list I want to create is actually for this is for this to this. This is what I want on the list. The present, so I want, remember I said first test to, so I want to be able to get everything I want here. If I want exam. Okay, so now I want to use index and match to see how we can use these two formulas together to achieve this. So here we are. I'll say equals to. So we'll start with index. Why we are starting with index is because we want it to return the content for us. So that's why we are starting with index. So we'll say index, bring up index. Now what is the array? The array now is, remember we are looking for the first test to the exam. So array will be from here to here. This will be our array, comma. Now it's asking for row number. Now you cannot give it a row number because we have different columns here. So if you give it a row number, that means you need to also give it a column number. Remember, we have different criteria here. So in giving it this row number, we would use max, the formula max. So we use max to get our row number. Now in doing that, we now say the row number would be, what's the lookup value? Our lookup value is this. This is what we want it to look for. Then the lookup array would be this, from here to here. And we need an exact match. So we close. But this is not complete because we also have another thing here. So we need to make sure that is covered. So in doing that, we'll now use match to now get column. Remember, we have 3 different columns here that we are looking for. If we end this here, that means it will only be looking in this where we have this rec number. But that is not actually what we want it to return. What we want it to return for us is what we have in the first test, second test, and exam column. So in doing that, we'll also use match to get that. So our lookup value now here would be this, comma. What will now be the array? The array will be from here down to here. This will become our array. And then we still need an exact match here. Then we'll close. But in this situation now, we need to also close. Remember, we close for this match. We need to also close for this index we started with. So we'll put another close there. Remember, we had the first index here. We opened and we closed. We have the second index. We opened and we closed. So we have to now close. We had the first match. We opened and closed. We had the second match. We opened and closed. So now we need to close also for index. So that's why we are having this other close here. So now if we press enter, you can see that for this person that has 1004 rec number, his first test he scored 4. He scored 7. So if we should change this to exam, you can see that this person exam scored 66. Now what's going on here is that match would look for that location while index will return the value or the content of that position for us. So at this point, I would be entertaining question. Please, who is confused? If you're confused, please let me know before we move forward.
Sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm confused though.
Okay.
I'm confused. How many times did you use the math? Can you kindly go over it again?
Okay. So now let's go back to this formula so that we see. Let me explain this formula again. So I believe we all can see the formula bar here where we have the formula that gave us this. So what we did here is this. We want to look for the first test, the second test, and the third test of whichever rec number that we bring up here. Remember, where we have this rec number, we have a list. So we can choose to pick any rec number and it will return either the first test, the second test, or the exam score of that rec number for us. That is what we want. Remember, we can also do this list. We could have done this list using first name. We could have done this list using second name or any other name. But we just decided to do the list using rec number. And we say each time we pick a rec number, we want it to return either the first test, the second test, or the exam, depending on what we have picked here. So, since it's the content we are after, we want it to return. That was why we started with index, because index will return the content for us. So we picked index. We now told index what we wanted to return. And what we wanted index to return is whatever is between E3, which is where we have this first test score, whatever is in here down to whatever is here. So this became our array for the index. So we say index, this is the array. Whatever is in this array is what we are interested in you returning for us. But now, you know, index will ask for a row number for it to know what it has to return. So in having a row number, we have 3 different columns. So we cannot just be working with one row, because if we work with one row, then it will be returning, it will be confused, because it will still have to ask us for the column we want it to return. So in using row number, we decided to use match to tell it the position where it should return for us. So that was where we went to, and we said for this we said for the match, for the row number you are to return to us, please give us the row number that is sync with the rec number we are working on, or this rec number that we choose. Remember, this is the rec number we have here, so that was why we used it as our row, as our lookup value in match. So we said, please look for wherever this position, the position of this rec number is. That is what you want. We want you to return to us, and then within there, give us whatever we have in these 3 columns, which is first test, second test, and exam, because that is what we want it to return for us. So A3, oh sorry, we want it to return, this is what we are looking for. This is what we are looking for. So the position of wherever this is. Then it's now asking us for array. Where am I going to find this? We say this you will find here, between here and here. This is the array we want you to look into. And wherever you find in this array, whatever you find here, return the exact match for us. So remember, we have 17 here. 17 here is as a result of what we picked here at that time, and then the array is what we have here, from here to here. Let's even change this lookup value.
Sorry, is that 17 or I7?
No, sorry, I7. Or is that I7? No, not I7, because we don't have I7 here. So that is, let's see.
It's I7 because you selected this now. That's
okay,
1004.
Because I picked from here, yes, I remember now. It's I7 because I selected this. So this is column I, row 7. Column I, row 7 is where we have this. So that's I7. So inside of this I7, we said the array it should pick is everything between A3 to A22. That is the array, and then we say it should return an exact match. Now, giving it this command is still vague, because when it comes down here, it will still find more than 1. So that is where we now had to give it a column number also. And in giving it, remember, all of this is working for row number. So in giving it a column number, we now had to still use match to give it a column number. And now, using match to give it a column number, this thing is okay. Let me press enter. Let's see something. Equals to, when you say index, when you have index, when you bring up index, so you have these 3 arguments. You have array, you have row number, you have column number. I say column number is optional. So you only have to use column number if what you are looking for spans in more than 1 column. So if it covers more than 1 column, that means you have to get a column number. So using this formula, now we came here, we're trying to get, first of all, the row number. We said the row number here, we used this first match. We said look for this. Then it's now asking us, where am I going to get this? We say come here to this place, you would find this. Then after that, we say return an exact match, which is the 0 we have here. Then we now have to give it a column number, because don't forget, what index is looking for is the content of this. And this spans across 1 column. We have 1, 2, 3 columns here. So that was why we had to use match here. We say match, okay. When you go, what are you looking for? We say what you're looking for is whatever is here. Remember here we have first test, we have second test, and we have exam. So we say whatever is here is what we want you to return to us. So we also have to give it an array. Where are you going to find what is here? We say where you will find that is here, from here to here. Because match will always ask you for array of what it is looking for. So now in getting an array, we say it should take from here to here, which is E2 to G2. And we say it should also return an exact match. We closed, and I said we also have to close for this first index that was open. Remember, everything we are doing here is inside index, because we want whatever match would look for. Let index give us the content of that place. That's why we started with index, and we are using match to look for the position, while index will return the content for us. So at the end, we said enter, and it gave us this. So I'll be taking this again from scratch for those that are still confused. So I guess we all can see this. Okay, I think maybe I should rephrase. Let's go back here. So let's go back here. Now, in combining index and match function, it will give you a very powerful way to perform lookups. So index and match together is a very powerful tool for performing lookups and in retrieving data from. Okay.
Sorry. Are you still explaining? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but your voice is low.
Are you still going over the formula again?
Which? Sorry, I'm lost. I don't understand your question.
No, I told you that you should please go back to the index and match.
Yes, I would. I want to start.
And you're trying to explain.
Yes, I want to start from this so that everybody can follow. So we'll still go back
no problem.
Still go back there. So I said it's powerful for performing lookups and for retrieving data from specific cells in a table or range. So this combination is often used as an alternative to the traditional VLOOKUP function, providing more flexibility and versatility. Okay, so the basic idea is to use the match function to find the position of a lookup value. This was exactly what I was trying to explain to us. So you use match to find the position of the lookup value in one range, and then you use index to retrieve the corresponding value from another range. So this was all those big do this, do that was all me trying to explain just this. So now in doing this, let's go back here. Let's start from the very beginning. So we came here and we did a list. Remember, we did data validation here, and we added everything we have here into this list. So this list contains the rec number of everybody on this list. And then over here, we did another data validation where we had what we were about to look for, which is the first test, the second test, and the exam. All of it here. Then now we said we want to use VLOOKUP to get all of we want to use index and match to get all of this. So we said in doing that, we say equals to. Now remember, the final product of what we want is the content of the cell and not the position. So that is why I said we'll start with index, because index will give us the content. So we brought up index. Now, in bringing up index, we need an array. What is the array? What are we looking for? This is what we are looking for. This is our array. We said everything from here to here is our array, is what we are looking for. Comma. Then the next thing now, it's asking us for the row number. So I said, in order to get this row number, what do? We bring in match. We use match to get the row number. Now, match will now ask us for a lookup value. So what is the lookup value? The lookup value is this. This is what we want. Whatever is in this place is what we want it to look up for us. Then it will now ask us, where am I going to see those things that are here? We say you should pick from here down to here. This is the array. And then it should return an exact match for us, whatever it finds there. Then we close. Remember, we are done with match now. We close. But remember, this is not our focus. Our focus is this, because this is what we have asked index to return for us, is this. So that means we still need to come up with another match to now get the content of these columns. These are different columns. So now we're coming to where we have this column number. We have to use match to get the column number. Remember, we've used match to get the row number. Now we want to use match to get the column number. So how do we do that? We bring up match. It will still ask for lookup value. The lookup value in this case now is this, because this is what we want it to return. Whatever is here is what we want it to return for us. So using that, what is the array? The array now is this. Where will it find this? Remember here, when we were choosing array, we said it should come here, it will find this inside of this, which is this. We said it will find inside of this. Now we are using here as our lookup value. So it's now asking us, where will I find this? We say it should come here, from here to here. That is going to find whatever it is it's looking for here. So that becomes our lookup value. And then we still need it to return an exact match. So after this, we close. I say now we've closed for this match. We've closed for this other match. We need to close for this index that was opened initially. So that's why we close again, and then we press enter. So we can see that for the first test of this rec number, whoever owns this rec number, his first test is called 7. Let's see. And that is very correct. Now, if we change this rec number to, let's say 10, you see 10 scored 3 in his first test. Should we see, is that correct? 10, first test, 3. So index would return the value, the content of that cell, while match would look for the row and the column to give index, so that index can now return the content for us. So we say match will return the position, while index will return the content. So at this point, is there still anybody who is confused? Please, let's ask questions before we move forward.
It's not straightforward at all. I mean,
It's not straightforward.
at all, at all. I just try.
Because I can see it as a very corny
I'm telling you, I'm trying to
argument here. honestly. So
Okay.
so I just feel like,
Let
why
me
can't you just use the B logo?
the VLOOKUP. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Okay, you're saying why not just use the VLOOKUP?
Yes, because I think, to my own little understanding, I still result compared to this as well. Maybe something similar to this.
Okay, actually that's true. It's similar. Okay, if you say so. But it's not really hard. Why I would say it's not really hard is because we did index. Now, okay. So we did index, remember. When we did index, we said equals to. So we brought index. we said row, array. What is the array? The array is we picked from here to here. This was our array, comma. Then row number. We said we were at that point we were looking for king. That king was our row number. So we said we have king in row 16. Row 16. And then what do we want it to return in that row 16? We say we want it to return. Now we are now counting columns. So in this case now, let's say we want it to return the first test, or let's even say the second test of king. Remember, king is the person in row 16. So whatever it will return for us, when we give it a column number, it will be the content of that column. Right now, if I do not put a column and I just close this, it will return the name in that row 16 for me, which is king. If I press enter now, you see, if I press enter, okay, I have to give it a column number because I have selected more than one column. So it must have a column number for it to work with. Because right now, Excel is confused. What exactly do you want me to return for you? So that is why I must give it a column number. So if I come here, comma, and now give it a column number, what is it I want it to return? Let it return second text for me. So second text is in which column? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So second text is in column 6. So I now have column 6 there. So I can now press enter. So you can see that for the content of row 16, column 6, I have 4 as the content there. So this is index in the simple form. Then the other one, why it looks as if it's complex, is because we are now trying to look for different things and asking index to do it. But index cannot do it. But we can now use match to look for the position of those things per time, and index to just return the content of that position for us. That was what we were trying to do by having a list and trying to use index and match together to return the content of whatever it's the position of what we are looking for. So is it still complex? Hello?
Hello, sir. It's not complex. There's something I want to understand. What
We're going to have a record
for me,
video of
it's
this,
not complex.
right?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Speak up. Speak on.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's clear. Your explanation is clear. Now, I'm trying to figure out how, if you want to get the maybe first and second names together with the other values, the maybe first test, second test, and the exams. How will you go about it?
When you now have them in different columns, right?
Yes, like you wanted to join the index and match for the name, the first test, second test, and
So
exams.
you can see when someone asked when is each of these this thing needed, because they are all doing lookup functions. They are all looking up for something, and I told the person then that it is now based on the peculiarity of what you're doing that will determine. So if I have things in different columns and I'm trying to get them, then in that case I'll just use X lookup or I'll use B lookup. So I don't need to start using index and match together. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So if I had different columns that they are all different on their own, and I wanted to return the values together for me, I'll just use VLOOKUP, and that would, as I'm changing one, every other thing from the other ones. We did VLOOKUP.
It's changing.
Be changing.
Yes, it's true. You're right, sir.
So
Okay.
it's the peculiarity of what you're doing that will determine which one you're using per time. Okay, so I think we should move forward to something else. Okay, so let me see what do we have next on our. So after index and match, which I believe we've done, I believe at this point everybody have an understanding of what to use index and match for, or when to use match only, when to use index only, or when to use both. We all have that basic understanding, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now we'll be moving over.
Yes, and I believe when we rewatch the recording, well, our level of comprehension will increase.
Okay.
Will be increased.
Okay. Thank you for that. So let's move over to aggregate. Let's do aggregate. So what is aggregate? What does it do? Let's see. So we say it returns an aggregate in a list or a database. Okay. So basically, this is how I'm going to explain this function. So this aggregate, it does different things. It has sum, it has average, it has a whole lot. But let's just say I want to sum everything here to get the total here. And I have errors in between. Okay, let me even do that. So let's say I have equals to, let's say VLOOKUP. I just want to get an error somewhere. Just want error. So VLOOKUP 1, 2, 3, comma, and okay. 1, comma, 2, comma, 3, comma, and then I just bring true. What I'm doing here doesn't make sense. That's because I just want it to give me an error. So now if I press and you see I have an error here. Okay, let's come here again and do the same thing. I just need those errors there. So 1, comma, 2, comma, 3, comma, and then true, and close. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to explain. I want to get the sum of everything here, the total for everything here. So usually I would use sum to do that. True or false? Please, someone should talk to me so that I'll be sure I'm not talking to myself. Okay, so I want to sum everything from here to here. I'll close and I'll press enter. So what am I having there? I'm having error. That means in trying to sum this, Excel is seeing errors. So it has not been able to sum all of this. But I still, even with these errors, I've not been able to rectify it. But I still want to know the total for the others that I have here. Because I don't want to wait until I sum this. I just want to get the total for these ones. Then later I will just add this when I get whatever it is I'm looking for. So it's in a situation like this where I will need the formula called aggregate. So now in doing this, instead of using sum, I'll use aggregate. Now, the moment I bring up this argument, this formula aggregate, you see it has different listing. The first thing here is asking me is the function I want to do. What function am I looking for? So in this case, the function is sum, and sum here is 9. So I'll just press 9, or I could just select it from here. It will give me 9. So the function number is 9 because what I want to perform is sum. So let me go back so that we see it. So you can see I have average, I have count, I have all of this. But what I want to perform here is I want it to sum everything here for me. So that's why I'm choosing 9. So let me just type 9. So I have 9 there. So 9 will give me a sum. So I'll press comma. So the next thing now is asking me, what type of aggregate am I performing? Should it ignore nested subtotals and aggregate function? Should we ignore hidden rows and nested subtotal and aggregate functions? Should we ignore error values, nested subtotal and aggregate function? So in my own case now, what I want you to do is I want you to ignore hidden rows, ignore the error values and the nested subtotal and aggregate the functions for me. So what will I go with? I will go with 3. So I'll go with 3. I'll type 3 and then I'll put comma. So I can give it an array. Then my array is this from here to here. This is the array I want it to aggregate for me. And after this, I'll just, if I put comma again, you see it will ask me for this other. These ones are optional. So I don't want this. So I'll just close. Please, can we all mute? Can we all mute? We are getting all back. Please, everybody, just mute. So now, if I press enter, you can see that it has summed everything here for me, irrespective of these errors that I have in between. So aggregate, as I have been able to use aggregate to sum this and to ask, and I've asked it to ignore all of these errors or nested subtotals or whatever it finds in between. It should just sum the ones that are valid for me. So that is what aggregate does, as simple as that. So I can use aggregate to get, you can see here, you can use it to get average. You can also, now if it were average we were looking for, I'll just say 1. So what it will do in this case is it will give me the average in this array. So I press enter. Here you can see it has given me the average, which is 54.17. That is the average in this array. So I want this to sink in. Please, do we all understand what aggregate just did? This is very simple actually. Do we all understand to this point?
Yes, thank you.
This is quite simple, right?
Yes, please.
So basically what this does is it performs function ignoring different errors, ignoring maybe some nested subtotal or things you have in between that are not important, but you just want to get the sum. So maybe you're trying to get it, but it keeps showing you that there's error somewhere. You just use aggregate and ask aggregate to ignore. Then it will give you. So even if it's average, even if it's count, even if whatever it is you're doing, that you have errors or other things in between, but you want it to ignore. So you can use aggregate for that. So as you can see here, you have different things you can ask it to do. You can ask it to do count A, count, max, mean, product, standard deviation, a whole lot, even variance, median. If I go down, you still see so many others. Then you now show it what you should ignore. So this is quite straightforward, I hope. Okay, so can we move forward? Or should we just leave this time for question and answer? We have just a few minutes left. Okay, let me entertain question and answer now. So please, for everything we've done today, questions and answers. Where were you lost? Please, let's ask our questions.
Can I go ahead, please?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, thank you. Mr. thank you so much. I mean, it's been an interesting class, you know, and I'm glad that we are back. You know, to start from where we stopped last year, and then most importantly, I'm grateful to God for bringing us all back, well and hearty. Um, I want to speak specifically on this last aggregate function. It
John, I'm no longer hearing you. Okay, I think you're back now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Am I audible enough?
Yes, yes. Please
Okay,
speak
great.
up.
So I was
If you don't
asking,
talk, if you don't talk quickly, the time will finish and
if
nobody
you are
will be
working,
able to answer your question.
if you are working for a client who has given you a data set,
Okay. Ah, John, I think your network is giving issue. Please let's give the opportunity to someone else. Okay, please, any other question? Someone else should. I think John's network is. Please, any other person on mute and ask.
Sir, good evening, sir.
serious
Okay.
network challenge. And I don't
Sir,
like
I just want
it.
to ask, have we done X lookup? Because I think I came late.
We did X lookup last year before leaving.
Okay.
X lookup was our last class last year. So
I didn't see it.
for this class, we started with index and match.
So, sir, sorry, please, can you, because after the class, you've not uploaded the recording of that class, and unlike me, I was in a transit when the class was taking place, so I couldn't get the whole stuff as should. So if you
That's
can,
the class for X lookup.
yes, sir, the last class, that's that December class or
Okay.
Christmas class.
Okay. I'll try and do that.
All right, sir. Thank you in anticipation.
Okay. Any other question?
I think I'm back now. Is my audio good enough now?
Yes, yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, thank you. So I was trying to ask, if you have a data set from a client and then you have these errors in some of the data set and you are trying to aggregate, how would you handle it to be able to actually give them the correct position of the information on the data set, taking the cognizance of the fact that these errors in some of the cells where there are no defined figures could actually alter the information in the data set? How would you handle that, please?
Okay. So I said something. Now, I may have used error to explain this, but it's not in all cases where it may have to be error. Sometimes maybe you're collecting data, or someone collected data and brought to you. Then, in the process of collecting that data, some persons who were not available at that time. Let's even use an example of maybe salaries. So someone was asked to collect the data for everybody's salary or what everybody is due. And in doing that, he was unable to meet some persons to get their own information and put. Then he just got some. Then when he went back to meet the boss was like, please, anyone that has not been filled, just mark it there, not available, or mark it there, not yet gotten. Or maybe just write up something. Don't keep any blank space here, just so that we can know that these ones were not done, so that later we can come back to it. But for the ones you've collected, please, I want to know the total so that I can give you money to go and give to them. So in a way, you still have to come up with a total, even when that list is not complete. But you cannot wait for everybody to come. So even when some part of that list is still incomplete, you have been asked to sum what you have there so that they can know the total they are working with at that point. Then later, when the other people are available, they will now revisit it. So that's a classic situation where instead of using sum, you use aggregate. Because in using sum now, where maybe you have some not available or not yet resumed, or not, some will just give you an error. It will not be able to sum because it will have to cut across everything that you're trying to sum. And when everything there is not figures, it will just give you an error. But in using aggregate, you can now ask aggregate to ignore those errors or those, there are different this in there. So it's not even only error. You have nested subtotal, you have other kind of errors that you can ask it to ignore, and then it should just sum and give to you. So aggregate will do that and will come up with a value for you.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I think that's a practical example. Okay, so I believe I've answered your question, John.
Oh yeah, you have. You have. Thank you so much.
Okay, so please,
You have.
any other question? Any other question? Okay. So in the midst of any other question, I would take it that means this class went very well. We all understood very, very well. Hope I'm right. Okay, so I'll try to make sure the video for this class is ready on time, so that for those of us that need to go over it again, especially for index and match, a few of us will still complaining that it's not really clear, so that we can go over it again and know how possibly best we can use it. Okay, so that brings us to the end of today's class. I appreciate all of you that came around.
So assignment to
Assignment, okay. So I would come up with an assignment. I will drop it in the group. So I didn't prepare that before this class. So I'll do that. Maybe I'll drop it between tomorrow and Monday. I'll drop one. Okay, thank you all and good night. Have a very wonderful night rest until we meet again next week Saturday. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good night.